Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going to begin with the Expedited Accusation Calendar. This is a misdemeanor criminal calendar with the State Court of Fulton County. It involves cases in which individuals were recently arrested and brought to the Fulton County Jail. Soon thereafter, the cases were formally accused by the Solicitor General of Fulton County. And this would be the defendant's initial appearance before a judicial officer. When I call your case, I will be advising you of what your new accusation number is, what are the charges brought against you, to appoint counsel if one is needed, and to set a bond if one has not been previously set, or if your bond should be modified. Please remember that if you are accused of one or more misdemeanor charges, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say during the course of this virtual proceeding that's not only recorded but live streamed, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney if you cannot afford one. One of our attorneys from the Public Defender's Office or our conflict defense list will represent you. Please also, with regards to the issue of bond, some of you may qualify for what we call a signature bond. That's a bond in which you would not have to pay in order to secure your release. However, you will have to comply with certain strict conditions in order to maintain your signature bond. If you violate those conditions, your signature bond will be revoked and converted to either a cash bond or a surety bond. Those who don't qualify for a signature bond, perhaps based on your criminal record history or the nature of the circumstances of the case, for those of you, you will have to pay in order to secure a release. The payment can be done either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. All right, courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Excuse me, Your Honor. Can I give you the reset
Yes.
date?
I thought about that, but then I forgot. Sorry, Mr. Bridgewater. Yes, what is
Okay, it's going to be March the 12th.
All right, got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
As a footnote, those of you who receive a surety bond or a cash bond will also get a reset court date, and that will be March 12th at 9 a.m. And that proceeding will be done via Zoom. So those of you who plan to attend, you will need to get a Zoom link from the clerk's office. All right, Mr. Cook, who do we have next to you?
I'm sorry. We have position number 1, Mr. Bryant.
All right, thank you. This is State versus Miles Bryant, who is charged with simple assault, family violence, and criminal trespass causing damage to property. Mr. Bryant, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
15 total. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right, 2022 FTA, 2019 battery DV, that was DWAP, 2019 DUI, 2017 terrorist threats, first offender, 2019 simple assault DV, trespass, that was DWAP, and a 2017 carrying weapon without a license, reckless conduct, obstruction conviction.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Pierre Thomas. Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Brief facts of the case is that on February 26, 2024, at the location of 540 Humphrey Street Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia, the defendant was cussing at the victim's current boyfriend's stepdaughter, who was 17 years of age, and he punched a hole through her door after taking a fighting stance towards her. The defendant threatened to kill the victim's stepdaughter's father in front of her and the other 3 children. The children's ages were 10, 8, and 5. Our office was fortunately able to get in contact with the victim in this case. The victim appears to be named Tedleene, Tedleene Smith, traditional spelling, who will not be on the Zoom call apparently because she has to work, but if we could still sound for her in accordance with Marcy's law. But she states that her and the defendant have been together for 20 years. They have 2 children together, the 10 and the 5-year-old, and they live there with the other children, the 8 and the 17-year-old, at that location. It looks like apartment 2323. She states that they do not have a domestic violent history and that she does not fear the defendant, but she confirmed the events in the warrant. She states that the maintenance office has fixed the door, and she states that she she does want contact with the defendant and for him to return to the residence. The state's request in the matter is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, a no contact, a stay away from the location, and in light of the presence of the children and an anger awareness course.
All right. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, they do live together, and have for quite some time and have been together, at least dating since, about 2008.
Mhm.
They share children together. There was no physical contact between the parties here. We understand the nature of the charges, and he denies many of the allegations in the warrant. We would ask for a signature bond. We have no problem with no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, or even well, we would ask for the signature bond, and we would ask that he be allowed to go home. The home they have shared for a number of years, and apparently she has no problem with that.
All right, so the alleged victim is the victim's current boyfriend's stepdaughter. Is that
Yes,
the
it's a lot
correct
going
thing?
on, Your Honor. Yes.
All right. And does this individual live at Humphreys Place or Humphrey Street?
I think the way I read our contact, let me double check. It's not clear if the current boyfriend lives there, but she apparently still lives with the defendant, and I guess that's her ex-boyfriend.
No, as I read it, as my client is stating, Ted Lean Smith is his girlfriend and has been for a while, and they live together at that address. Have I stated that correctly? Yes. Okay.
All right, who does Mr. Bryan have children? With whom does he have children?
Miss Smith.
That is Ted Lynn Simone Smith.
Yes.
And Ted Lynn Smith has a current boyfriend. Who's her current boyfriend?
The defendant.
The defendant. All right. I'm just trying to read the warrant, so it's not very clear. All right. And the current boyfriend's stepdaughter. And who's the stepdaughter? Mr. Pierre Thomas? All I have is
The 17-year-old is the
victim's,
stepdaughter.
current boyfriend's stepdaughter.
Yeah, I don't think we get the name in the warrant. At least let me double check to see if we've gotten the report at this point.
Threatened to kill Miss Smith. Okay, so this threatened to kill Miss Smith's stepdaughter's father.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, I wish Miss Tedlyn Simone Smith is here with us right now. All right. On the Mr. Miles, Mr. Bryant, Miles Bryant, on the simple assault is going to be 1,500. On the criminal trespass causing damage to property is 1,500. That's a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. I'm going to allow you to return back to 540 Humphrey Street, Southwest Atlanta, as long as the stepdaughter does not live there. So you're allowed to go back to the location the first time with a police officer to verify that Miss Smith's stepdaughter does not live there. If she does not live there, then you can continue to cohabitate at that location. If she does live there, then you have to stay away until she vacates the property once she's old enough. So if she does live there, then you will have to update the court with a new mailing address so that we can send you your future notices. You are to report to pretrial once a month, and while you are reporting to pretrial, you will enroll and complete a domestic violence intervention program. You must begin that program within 30 days of being released on your signature bond. So by your second visit, you must show proof that you're enrolled in such a program. All right, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. If you own any firearms, they have to be surrendered to the authorities for destruction. Your next court date will be sent to either the Humphrey Street, if you are able to live there, or to your new address if the stepdaughter lives there. Any questions for your attorney?
No, ma'am.
All right. Next case.
Next case, we have position number 8,
No, no.
Mrs. Smith.
I have Deja Smith Johnson, accused of disorderly conduct and willful obstruction of an officer from July 19th, 2023. The accusation is 24 CR 938. Ms. Smith, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
6 total. 2022 Simple Battery DV, 2021 FTA, 2019 Simple Battery DV dismissed, 2018 and 17 Simple Battery DV. She should be going to felony for PI and cruelty in the first.
All right. Mr. Graham, good afternoon.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. This incident took place on July 19, 2023. Law enforcement responded to a welfare check call at the Quick Trip located 4745 State Route 138 in Union City. Upon arrival, they were flagged down by Alicia Smith Johnson, who advised that her daughter, Deja Smith Johnson, refused to get out of her rental car, and the rental car needed to be returned. Officers then met with Deja, who advised that she was not getting out of the car after being asked several times to do so. She then became irate, began yelling and cursing at the officers and refusing to cooperate. She did eventually get out of the vehicle. She continued to yell and scream at her mother with profane language. After refusing to comply with several warnings, she was instructed to place her hands behind her back. She then resisted arrest by tensing up her arms and intentionally falling to the ground. She was eventually handcuffed in the front, officers taking note of her pregnancy. Alicia further told the officers that her daughter has a history of being violent towards her and law enforcement when encountered. Based on the history, Your Honor, and kind of this pattern of these outbursts in public, the state is requesting a $1,000 surety bond, no further contact with Alicia Smith Johnson, a stay away from that QT location, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right. 4745. It was that in Union City where it happened?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Kim, your client currently has, I think, a $11,000 or $16,000, depending on how they do the math on the bond at first appearance. But this is for case 24 PI 001421. She does have a surety bond on a bench warrant matter.
Yes.
Okay, so on the disorderly conduct is 1,000, the willful obstruction is 1,000, it's a signature bond through the jail. And her next court date is going to be March 12th. Just because I don't know whether she's going to be released before March 12th. No contact with Alicia Smith Johnson, which means that she cannot call Miss Johnson from the jail and cannot speak to Miss Johnson in any way, form, or manner, and to stay away from the QT gas station at 475 State Route 138 in Union City. No alcohol, no illegal drugs, and no weapons and no firearms. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Next, we have position number 7, Ms. Ross.
Nicole Ross is represented by Ms. Atay. Thank you. This is State versus Ross, accused of criminal trespass and battery family violence, accusation 24 CR 937, stemming from a February 27th, 2024 incident. Ms. Ross, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Atay. Mr. Howard, any priors?
No. Jail was a recommendation.
All right. Mr. Graham?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This incident took place February 27, 2024. Law enforcement responded to a domestic dispute at 1526 Saratoga Drive in Alpharetta. Upon arrival, the officer was met by Dane Hines. The first name is D-A-I-N, last name H-I-N-E-S. who advised he had been living with his girlfriend, Nicole Ross, but was in the process of moving out of their shared residence. As he was packing his belongings, Ms. Ross became upset and began recording the altercation on his cell phone. He began recording the altercation on his cell phone. The video shows Ms. Ross using her right hand to push the cell phone from Mr. Hines' hand several times. In the video, Mr. Ross can be heard saying, "Just let me get my clothes and leave." As Mr. Hines was attempting to leave the bedroom, Ms. Ross grabbed him to prevent him from leaving the bedroom and then bit him on the back. The officer observed a visible bite mark on the upper left part of Mr. Hines' back. Our office has been in contact with Mr. Hines. He did confirm that they had been off and on in a relationship for about 4 years. They have no kids together. They did live together for approximately 7 months, but he has moved out. He's no longer living at the incident location. He stated they do have a domestic violence history, but nothing has ever been reported or no arrests have been made. He did confirm the events in the warrant and just wants the defendant to stay away from his place of employment. And the state is recommending, just based on the nature of the incident, signature bond through pretrial services, a 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Dane Hines, stay away from his place of employment, which is 6887 Oak Ridge Commerce Way in Austell. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All
And
right,
if we
thank
can
you.
sound for Mr. Hines, Your Honor, I'm not sure if he's going to be here or not.
All right, Dane Hines, if you are present and you want to say something, please unmute and start your video. All right, Mr. Tay, as I'm fairly confident that Mr. Hines has vacated the premises, there won't be a stay away, but there'll be a no contact. Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor. I would ask for a signature bond through the jail. This is her first arrest in her entire life. She's a 39-year-old mother of 3, including an 8-year-old child with Down syndrome and a severe heart condition who has a surgery coming up. She, Your Honor, denies the allegations and states that the complaining witness was the first aggressor. And yes, Your Honor, he does not live there. He lives at the Rockville Work Release Detention Center.
On criminal trespass is 1,500. On the battery is going to be 2,000. Her total bond is 3,500. It's a signature bond through the jail. She's to have no further contact with Dane Hines, which means she has to stay 200 yards away from his person. She cannot contact him via either in person, through mail, email, phone, computers, even on social media, and even through a third party. If she engages or is found trying to communicate or is within 200 yards of him, all he has to do is call the authorities, and she can be arrested and charged with a felony count of aggravated stalking, which means that she will stay in jail for up to 3 months with no bond. So if Ms. Ross has got a more important task in looking after her children, highly recommend that she comply with this condition. Otherwise, not only will her signature bond be revoked, but she could end up being in a much more serious position. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next case, Deputy.
Next, we have position number 2, Mr. John Davis.
Hello, ma'am.
John Davis, please. This is State versus John Davis, accused of criminal trespass and willful obstruction of an officer. Accusation number is set as 24 CR 932. Incident date is February 26, 2024. Mr. Davis, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coe. Mr. Howard?
33 total. Last arrest was on the 5th of this month for trespass. January trespass. Uh, December or November 2023 trespass.
That's good. Thank you. Mr. Pierre Thomas?
Your Honor, extremely brief facts is that Steve Pittman, the security at Truist Bank advised the Atlanta police officer that the defendant was at the property after the defendant received several verbal and written warnings. The defendant pulled away from Officer Hunt at the time that the officer tried to place him in custody. One of the criminal trespass warnings were documented by the Atlanta Police Department, incident number 2403605030. Your Honor, 33 cycles. I literally parsed it out myself. He has at least 13 arrests for everything from criminal trespass to burglary to theft by taking, and that's just, in the last couple of years. 11 of them have some component of criminal trespass to it. So the state is under the impression that something has to give. And so the state will be recommending, at least at a bare minimum, a $750 surety bond. That would be $500 on the criminal trespass, $250 on the willful obstruction, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a stay away.
Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, we have no problem with the stay away or GNAGW, but we would ask, given the circumstances, that this be a surety bond. Excuse me, a signature only bond.
All right. It's $500 on each count. That's $1,000 surety bond. Stay 200 yards away from the Truist location at 303 Peachtree Center Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. And no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Next court date is going to be March 12th. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 3, Mr. Randy Davis.
Randy Davis is accused under accusation 24 CR 933 with battery family violence stemming from February 27, 2024. Mr. Davis, you've also been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Cook. Priors, please.
10th arrest. 2012, 2 counts of battery DV. 2010 battery, dead docket. And before that was 02 theft by receipt.
2012 was 2 counts of battery DV. Those were dead docketed too?
I didn't see a disposition for those. The 2010 battery was dead docket.
I see. Okay.
I have 2012 as being dismissed.
Okay.
The brief facts of the case, Your Honor, is February 27th. The incident happened on February 27th, where the officer was dispatched to a person injured call at 320 Fairburn Road, Southwest Department, looks like N5. The officer met with the victim, who is Mary Bradley, traditional spelling. The victim stated that the defendant jumped on top of her and forced her to the ground and began punching her several times in the face. The officer observed visible swelling and discoloration next to the victim's eye. The defendant and the victim have been in a relationship for 30 years and have been living together at the incident location for 30 years. I do believe that alcohol was involved. Your Honor, given the nature of the facts that were alleged in the warrant, and I guess the parts played by both parties, the recommendation from the state would be a signature bond to the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, and the completion of a family violence intervention program. Nothing. And if we can sound from Ms. Bradley in accordance with Marcy's law, that'd be greatly appreciated, Your Honor, but nothing further to add from the state.
That was Mary Bradley, right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Bradley, if you're present, you can unmute and start your video if you want to add to this proceedings. Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, we would ask for no further violent contact and allow him to go back to his home. I don't, if I heard the pretrial correctly, in the early 2000s, since there was any even possibility of a conviction. So we're looking again for the signature only bond and no further violent contact.
All right. On the battery family violence, that's a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. Mr. Davis, you are to have no further contact with Mary Bradley, as she is still apparently a resident at 320 Fairburn Road in apartment N5. You cannot return to that location and live there. You will have to update the court with a new mailing address within 30 days of being released. You may return to that location one time only with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings. But after that, you are not to return to that location and provide the court with a new address. You are to enroll in a domestic violence intervention program within 30 days of being released. So by your second visit with pretrial, you must show proof of enrollment with a domestic violence program. Otherwise, the pretrial services can request a revocation of your signature bond. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. Thank you.
Next, we have position number 4, Mr. Carlos Garcia.
He wasn't on my pool sheet, so I don't have a history.
Okay.
The state's history is that he has 3 cycles. 2023 looks like April 24, 2023 DUI out of Burroughs. He received 12 months of probation, so he would have still been on probation at the time. And then he also simultaneously, it looks like with this arrest, received arrest for violation of conditions on limited driving permit, which out of Milton, which I guess would make sense with the DUI. But the extremely brief facts of this case is, Your Honor, the defendant gave a false report that someone had stolen his work truck, which was recovered as an abandoned vehicle after an accident. The defendant admitted to driving the vehicle when it was stolen and did so after being caught on camera. The recommendation from the state, Your Honor, is a signature bond through the pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and no driving while out on bond.
Okay. Mr. Garcia, your case number is 24 CR 934. As you've already been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Ms. Kim, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services. He'll have to report to pretrial once a month, and he is not allowed to drive until he has a valid driver's license. And I'm not talking about limited permit. I'm talking about a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. So, Mr. Garcia, if you were—
Excuse me, Your Honor. Carlos has been bonded since yesterday. I have already spoken to the bonding agency. His status is booking out. I don't even know what is going on now. Why would you give him another bond? He's bonded.
Well, because we weren't informed that he was bonded. Let me just
Okay. Okay.
So 3048. So he received a $1,000 surety bond, and you have paid that bond?
Yes, ma'am. His bond
When
has
was
been
that
paid. His bond was paid yesterday at 12 o'clock.
Deputy,
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
have the documents on that bond on your end?
The bonding agency.
Stop interrupting. Stop.
No, we don't have documents of that over here.
All right. So right now, if he's already paid the bond, then I'm going to leave it as it is, $1,000 surety bond, but I am going to put the condition on there that he is not allowed to drive unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. All right. So that means if he's got a limited driving permit, Mr. Garcia, you can't drive until you have your license reinstated from your DUI case. All right. So right now, I'm just going to indicate it by this lady called Mona Lisa that his $1,000 surety bond has been paid. This case is going to be further notice for trial. Ms. Kim, are you relatively satisfied that his bond has been paid?
I really wanted to have a $2,000 signature on bond since it has not been processed. Maybe they can get a refund from bond company and let him have a signature on bond.
I am just going to leave this as it is. I'm not going to deal with the logistics of it. However, if tomorrow you find out that his bond has not been processed and nothing has been paid, you are more than welcome to readdress that with me either on Friday or Saturday.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Lisa, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So that was a $1,000 surety bond?
Yes, $1,000 surety bond pending being processed at the jail, according to this friend of his that has been paid. And Miss Bridgewater, please make a note, is $1,000 surety bond. And the condition is no driving unless he has a valid DL.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy, next case.
Next, we have position number 5, Mr. Montez.
All righty.
Here on that case, Your Honor.
Mr. Jacobs, that's your client?
Yes, it is.
All right. Oh, right. This is State versus, I think it's Nain Montez Aguilera, accused of one misdemeanor offense of cruelty to animals from February 5th, 2024. Accusation is 24 CR 935. Mr. Montez, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Mike Jacobs. Do you see Mr. Jacobs on the screen, Mr. Montez? Do you see him? I can't hear you. Do you see your attorney on the screen?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
No, jail was a recommendation.
Okay. Any objection to a jail bond and no pets?
No, Your Honor, no objection.
All right. The bond is set at 1,500. It's a signature bond through the jail. And Mr. Montez, you need to make sure that you update the court with your mailing address at all times. If it changes, you and your attorney need to let the court know as soon as possible in writing. You are not authorized to own any kind of pets, whether it's a domestic pet or a exotic animal. You're not allowed to own any of them in your home. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any questions, Mr. Jacobs?
No, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have position number 6, Mr. Moss.
Antonio Moss is accused of battery family violence under 24 CR 936 from October 19th, 2023. Mr. Moss, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Atay. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
This is 4th adult arrest, 2022 ag assault. That's 22 CP 214-256. That's open. 2020 disorderly conduct NOLO. That's all.
All right. Mr. Grant?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident took place on October 19th, 2023. Law enforcement responded to an assault call at 5401 Old National Highway, apartment 1901. Upon arrival, they met with Shakita, Shaketa, Alexander, who advised that her boyfriend, Antonio Moss, became upset after she told him she didn't want to talk and that she was leaving. Mr. Moss then followed her to the bathroom and attacked her, punching her in the face multiple times with a closed fist. Miss Alexander was observed with bruising lacerations to her left eye, her nose, and her cheek area. Our office has been in contact with Miss Alexander. She stated that she and Mr. Moss have been in a relationship for 4 years. They have no kids. They do reside together at that location, 5401 Old National Highway. She stated that they do not have a domestic violence history. She's not in fear of Mr. Moss. She also stated the facts in the warrant were incorrect, that he did not punch her in the face, and that they have lived together since the incident with no further incidents. Since this one back in October, she does want contact and inform Mr. Moss to return to the residence. And Your Honor.
I'm sorry, did she say she wants him to return to the residence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
The state's concern was, the nature of the incident and the open cases, or the open case. But after hearing from the defendant, and if we can solve for her in the presentation, I'm not sure if she'll be on Zoom or not, but the state is requesting Signature bond through pretrial services, 1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Shakita Alexander, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right, Shakita Alexander, if you are on Zoom, you would need to unmute and start your video if you'd like to contribute.
Yes,
All right, I have the word Dylan Products, Inc. All right, what's your, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly
Yes.
swear and affirm the testimony provided will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
yes,
Do you recall this incident of October 19th, 2023?
yes,
Who called the police?
I did.
And what was your condition? Where were you located when the police arrived?
I was outside.
Were you dressed?
I had on a coat, and I had on like a long coat.
Hmm. And why couldn't you get into the property?
Because we had got into it, and
Why couldn't you get into the apartment?
because my key was left inside.
Okay, I'm just looking at the warrant, what was said to the police officer at the time when the police was talking to you versus what you're telling me now. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's consistency between what you told the prosecution, what you've told the officer, and what you're telling me now.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. At the moment, it was just really a really heated situation, and I was very upset with the situation that had happened. But at this point now, there's no altercation or any bad vibe or whatever.
I don't know. Only you can describe the whatever. Anything else?
No, the only thing that I have to say is that the situation with me being punched in the face, I was never hit in the face.
Okay. Anything else?
No, ma'am, everything is okay.
All right. Mr. Tate?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 25 years old. He is the father of one baby. He has lived in Georgia all his life, and he is gainfully employed as a MARTA bus operator. He also volunteers with the Department of Juvenile Justice. As you've heard from the complaining witness, she's not afraid of him, but they don't live together. And they have been on good terms since the alleged incident in October of last year. Even the warrant states that the complaining witness says that she didn't want to press charges at that time. So that is the warrant. I'm not reading it. It's not in front of me right now, but I know that that is in the warrant.
She refused medical treatment. That's all I can see.
Well, I can, hold on a second.
She said
Unless there is something I didn't see.
Yeah, it does say in the warrant.
So, let me see now. What's his, okay, go on. I'm still listening. Anything else?
Yeah, so Your Honor, yes, sorry. So the warrant does state that the complaining witness told the officer that she did not want to press charges. They don't live together. I have no objection to the signature bond through pretrial services and the no violent contact as requested by the state. I would object to a stay away. I don't know if they asked for that, but they don't live together since October of last year. So, and just a signature bond through pretrial services, nothing further.
All right. On the battery family violence, the bond is going to be set at 3,500. It is a surety bond. Mr. Moss does not qualify for a signature bond. He's got an open felony case of violence involving a Dominic Dinkins. in case number 22 CP 214256. This alleged incident did occur while he was out on bond, in which he was required not to be arrested again for anything else. So that clearly is a violation of his felony court bond. He is to have no further contact with Shakita Alexander. He's to stay away from 5401 Old National Highway. So if he doesn't live there,
No,
that's
no, Your Honor, she does not live there.
Oh,
He
she-
lives there.
She does not live there. Okay. Then he can return to 5401 Old National Highway as long as Shakita Alexander does not live there. But after today, he's not to communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, and not to have any contact with her. His next court date is going to be March 12th. At 9 a.m. And no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Position. Hold on one second. We have, Jamil Weaver. He's not on the calendar, but he was on the full sheet.
Could you give me a jailing number?
2403104. I just got an email from Mr. ASG Graham that his case was upgraded to felony because he is a co-defendant to a felony. However, everything else was charged as a misdemeanor, so we would like to proceed as a misdemeanor, Your Honor.
Give me the jailing number again, 240.
3104.
Okay. Before I address that, do we have Shonda Fields?
Reset.
Okay. Is this a medical reset?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. This is a med reset to February 29th
Yes.
at 2 p.m. Okay, thank you. 240
3104. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Graham, what's the status of the accusation in this matter?
Your Honor, the matter was not accused. He was actually a co-defendant to a felony case, which is in Superior Court. And so he actually came into our office or came on the pull sheet as a DA number, as opposed to an SG number, which corresponds to the solicitor's office. So we just figured that he would be heard on the 11 o'clock calendar.
However,
I don't even have, I'm just trying to find his documents. I'm so sorry. If you give me a moment, with Odyssey, being welcome back, it seems to take its own sweet time sometimes. 2403104. So which are the misdemeanor charges that allegedly before me? I've got 2 counts of willful obstruction. I don't know whether they are. I have a pedestrian and roadway violation. I have a misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and I've got a Newton County hold.
One moment, Your Honor.
they are all misdemeanors.
Don't know. I'm trying to pull up. He's got a Newton County hold, but I'm
That was
Mr.
that was for driving without license.
Is it? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's still a fingerprintable offense. And then with regards to his warrants. So I've got a misdemeanor obstruction. Misdemeanor obstruction. All right, Mr. Graham or Mr. Pierre Thomas, do you all concur that these are all misdemeanor charges with the exception of the Newton County hold?
Yes, it appears, Your Honor, that there is no co-defendant on this particular case.
Okay,
It's been a mix-up, but it did, the office, it did come in with a DA number. And so I think that that is the reason for the mix-up.
okay. Would the state like to accuse this because I'm about to set bond on these charges?
Yes, Your Honor, give me 1 second.
What is he charged with?
2 counts of misdemeanor willful obstruction of an officer, 1 violation of the rules for pedestrian and roadway, misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and he's got a Newton County hold.
You want the history?
Yes, please.
It's fifth Weaver, 6 arrests, 2023 suspended license conviction, 2020 driving without a valid license, 2020 failure to appear, 2018 battery DV, and the whole. That's
The battery DV, do you have a disposition from 2018?
no. I'll try to look it up real quick.
Your Honor, the state will consent to a signature bond through the pretrial services, and we will accuse the cases.
Okay.
Once, yes, we will accuse the cases.
On the 2 counts of willful obstruction, Miss Bridgewater,
Yes, ma'am.
we can only set the bond order under the jailing number. Pending the state sending you an accusation number once it's accused.
Okay,
And I think we will have to get with Mr. Jordan
absolutely.
to make sure so Miss Kim, you understand that once I sign the bond order, Mr. Thomas has to submit the accusation number, then it gets filed with the court, and then it can be part of records in order to process your client out. So he may be there longer than usual in order to process a signature bond. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor. And yet I would like to mention that there is a false information charge as well at the jail. So we do have to have 1 more charge to either it has to be dismissed or accused.
I'm just looking at his intake information, so I don't see that. Do you know what's the warrant number or?
We have local warrant EW-0432961, giving false name, address, or birthday to law enforcement officer.
Oh, that is on the jailing screen.
Okay, you see it? All right then.
Yes.
So that's giving false information, 2 counts of willful obstruction, pedestrian roadway, misdemeanor possession of marijuana, and then the Newton County hold. All right,
In totality, it's 5 warrants, correct, Your Honor?
yeah, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, correct. On each count, it's going to be $500. That's going to be a signature bond through the jail with a release to the Newton County hold only.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. And like I said, this has to be processed pending the submission of the accusation number.
Yes.
All right. So just to go back over the calendar.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, but I have to interrupt one thing. About the Carlos Garcia, I feel like I should have raised objection to a stranger talking about his bond. I mean, I do understand that that person may have paid the bond. However, we don't know. And the jail does not have any record that the bond was paid. I really want to just go ahead and get a signature on bond through plea trial just to be safe, because I don't know her. And she's not a victim of this case. So whatever she has to
Does
say.
Mr. Garcia know her?
I don't know whether he's not here. I cannot ask him. I would like to,
like I said, I'm on C calendar on Friday and Saturday. I'll be glad to revisit it. But right now, when she started, he did not raise any objections at that time.
I should have raised.
No, he should have told you. I don't know her.
Yeah, he was continuously doing this.
He should have told you that I don't know who this person is.
I should have catched,
All right.
her message. Because we don't have to listen to her testimony at all, Your Honor.
He was very emphatic. All right, let me think about it. Give me till the end of the calendar roll, okay?
Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, Miles Bryant was a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, further notice. John Davis is $1,000 surety, reset March 12th. Position 3, Randy Davis is a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial, further notice. Position 4, thinking about it. Position 5, $1,500 signature bond through the jail, further notice. Position 6, Antonio Moss is a 3,500 surety bond, and that's reset March 12th. Nicole Ross is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial. Oh, excuse me, that was through the jail, for Nicole Ross.
That's correct.
Okay. Position 8, Deja Smith Johnson's a 2,000 signature bond through the jail, but reset to March 12, given her felony hold. And Shonda Fields is medical reset to 229. Then add-on is a 2,500 signature bond through the jail and released to Newton County hold only. What am I trying to say? Oh, should I give him a reset date, Ms. Kim?
Sure, Your Honor, just in case.
All right, so on the jailing number 2403104, let's reset it to March 12th, pending his release to Newton County.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, going back to position 4. Mr. Pierre Thomas or Mr. Graham, do you all have any, can I have your 2 cents worth about whether I should amend it to a signature bond?
Your Honor, I was actually thinking we recommended a signature bond, and I was like, she trying to put her foot in her mouth.
I
Because
don't know who
Ms.
he-
Kim is right, she could have possibly gotten her money back, and so I was just like,
I don't know how bonding companies are being these days. In the old days, they wouldn't, it's like pulling teeth to get them to pay back money. So on Carlos Garcia, I'm going to amend that to a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And like I said, no driving unless he has a valid driver's license, not a limited permit.
Thank you.
And
Sir.
adequate insurance and proper registration, and that's it. And the court takes no responsibility if he doesn't get a refund.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Thanks.
All right,
You said 2,000?
yeah, signature bond through pretrial.
I thought you said 1.
No, it was a $1,000 surety, now it's a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial for
Okay.
position 4, Garcia. Thank you, Deputy, I appreciate all your help.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Take care. Oh, I'll see some of you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So bright-eyed and bushy tailed, so to speak. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.